So let's talk about Hot Frosty. First, the name. If I watch Mean Girls, I want to watch a movie about mean girls. If I watch Cruel Intentions, I expect the intentions to be what?
Cruel.
Hot Frosty loses the plot quickly when they cast possibly the ugliest person I've ever seen.
And I like him. I
Me
like
too.
him in Schitt's Creek.
He's on
but
Schitt's Creek. He was
Ted.
in the 90210 reboot. But he does need scruff at the very least. And for this movie, they shaved him completely dry.
Yes.
And then his hair is like long and stringy, which wasn't on the Snowman. So I don't know why that had to be a choice.
We know we've got a hair department on set because, my God, we're not going to talk about the Merry Gentleman, but maybe they could have taken 20% of the product they put in poor Chad Michael Murray's hair and gave it to old Ted.
Even the wig that girl in Merry Gentleman was wearing would have been better than this guy's head. He was not a Hot Frost.
And I kept waiting I thought it was going to be like Lisa Frankenstein, where over time the monster hits that tanning bed and gets hotter and hotter. So I was like, oh, like he just turned from a snowman. Certainly physics, science, like he's still thawing. I thought that it would slowly, we would get like a little bit of bronzer. We'd get like maybe a little rouge on the lips. No, he just was
sickly,
like Skeletor.
Yeah.
Like I know he had a quote unquote good body, but it was like that like skinny like meth head type, which is usually my vibe, and I still didn't like it.
Hideous. Just hideous. He was ugly as sin. Now, I do want to say something very controversial, especially since the movie you chose includes someone I'm going to talk shit about in a second. Lacey Chabert is, out of the two that are doing Netflix movies, I think she is the star. I think she has so much charisma. And Lindsay Lohan obviously is a light. We love to see her on screen. Put her in everything. Mm-hmm. She belongs back on the big screen. But yes, when I was comparing the charisma of these two leading ladies, I think Lacey's got what it takes.
Well, because Lacey made me believe that she saw this snowman turned quote unquote hot man. She made me believe that she wanted to fuck that popsicle stick.
Yeah.
And I think that is acting. If you can make me believe that you're going to take this childlike snowman, bring him into your home and let him fix your plumbing, that's some movie magic right there.
I agree. And Lindsay, again, I do love, but she is always just Georgia Rule. Like a raspy, talk back in, slightly flustered girl. And you can put that girl wherever you need to put her, whether that's being essayed in a creek out in Georgia Rule or hanging Christmas trees with Mr. Fitz. But it still is always the same energy, where Lacey can really bring us a new delight.
I disagree, and I don't know if we necessarily need to be going out of our way to pit the women of Netflix against each other, but I will agree that Lacey Chabert, or as Dr. Bald pronounces her name, Lacey Chabert, I do think that she is a delight, and I'm really glad that she has found her footing as like a top tier Netflix Christmas movie girly.
Well, okay, I do agree with myself, but I also...
Counterpoint.
We were getting too far away from my thesis statement. I also think that I could really see how great she was in this because, for the most part, she's only done Christmas movies, which were Hallmark and Lifetime ones. So now Netflix with a better script and production value and supporting cast, I'm like, oh, she really is a star. But if we really look at Lindsay's work, this is possibly the worst thing she's done, even though I had a ball watching it.
Well, not the worst thing she's done, because out of her 2 Christmas specials and that one Leprechaun one, I think this is the best of those 2. So certainly we have at least 2, and I would argue Herbie Unloaded maybe farther down.
I never saw it, but I think it's probably good.
Okay.
So knowing what I've seen her in and comparing it to that, I'm like, Lindsay, not your best. But this, Lacey, this is possibly your best. Now, I did talk about the supporting cast, and this supporting cast is not as strong as the supporting cast in Our Little Secret or Merry Gentlemen, but it's still decent. We have Joe Lo Truglio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Craig Robinson from that and The Office, Katie Mixon from American Housewife, which, let me put a pin in this really quick. If you are looking for a sitcom to binge, if you want to ho-ho-ho through these holidays, put on American Housewife right now. I don't know where it's available, maybe Disney Plus, maybe Hulu, but it is the funniest sitcom of all time. Is it because it's about a fat suburban mom and I can relate to that as a child? Yes, possibly. That's why I liked Roseanne. They do own a pet pig, so it is white trash adjacent. It's like Gen Z's Roseanne.
It's like if Brittany and Jax got a sitcom about their lives, but they made the two characters like each other a little bit more.
Yeah, it is like that.
Uh-huh.
But cuties, if you do start to binge, you can stop watching when they recast the daughter. Once Anacat 1.0 leaves, you can too. No offense to the new girl. And then also in this movie, Chrishell from Selling Sunset is in one scene with 3 lines and then never seen from again.
Yeah. And you know, and I don't follow Chrishell on social media, but you know that she was pumping out the promo. Like, wait till you see me in my Netflix movie.
Yeah. I don't understand. She is an actress. Like, this is not like someone bringing Paris Hilton in for like, you know, oh, you are a star on TV. Let's bring you in and get some lines. Chrishell started on daytime soap operas.
But I think that's actually kind of the magic of these Netflix holiday movies they're putting out, is that there are these random ass cameos. And I like that it's kind of like you don't know what type of role the person is. Like if they ever move to murder mysteries the way that they do on SVU, we won't have the trope where when you see the most famous person on screen, you know that they're the bad guy that's going to get the big monologue at the end, because you don't know. Because it could just be, oh, there's Chrishell for 3 lines, never to be seen again.
That's true. Now, what I hope they do is bring a sequel to this, and she comes back for a bigger part. Maybe she was Frosty the whole time as well. There was a lady Frosty there, too.
Well, they are setting us up for some world building, because they're doing very intentional things where they're turning on the TV and she sees Lindsay Lohan's character, or they're like, huh, that's weird. I went to high school with that girl.
Yeah.
Or they talk about that diner was like where the Princess Switch took place. Like, I love that they're setting up this universe in which all of these people coexist.
If I worked for a magazine and I had time to be on a salary and be paid to do this, I would. But just as a freelancer, I'm not doing it. I want to watch all Netflix Christmas movies and see what world is the real world. Because, like, she watched Lindsay Lohan in that movie, so we know that skiing one is fake because Lacey Chabert was watching the movie.
Uh-huh.
So then, like, I want to see which ones are real and which ones, because they do always watch other Netflix movies, which means there is one that is the real world.
Right. Oh, I'm such an idiot, because I was thinking that she was watching Lindsay Lohan being interviewed, like that was the news, but she was watching the movie because, of course, because she says she looks just like someone I went to high school with, which is the real Lindsay Lohan from the Little Secret movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a true passion project, but I really think that a lot of people would appreciate it.
I know.
Because you could be adding to it every year.
Mm-hmm. I think I would go viral, but I just don't have the time.
It's a lot of work, yeah.
We didn't talk about the plot at all. So very loose. There's a snowman between 2 fat, regular-looking snowmen. There's a snowman that is, like, crafted with a dick bulge and, like, abs. Yeah. I don't know who made it. We don't know the artist
Also,
ever.
this snowman making contest, never mentioned again. Never talked about again. Nobody's crowned a winner.
No.
Never even referenced again of where the snowman came from.
Or if I was the artist, that took a lot of work. Now, maybe it was too gross or too suggestive for a town square snowman contest, but that artist put a lot of work into it. So if I went back to the scene of the crime and he was just missing, I would be pissed.
They at least needed to throw in a throwaway line of like crazy bonkers Aunt Sally who sees Ted now in human form and is like, that looks a lot like the snowman I built. Same penis. Yeah. But nothing. Like there wasn't even a reference to somebody in town being like, where the fuck is my snowman that I just spent 16 hours carving?
Yeah, they had like a doctor and somebody else who like her friends believe it very quickly. And I think they could have explained why you would believe that so quickly if one of them was the artist.
Yeah.
But alas, that's not the case. So she puts a scarf on this chiseled snowman. He comes to life, fixes her house, and then all the old ladies in town want to fuck him. And then at the end, I do want to talk about, spoiler alert, if you want to watch this movie. It ends how you think it would end, so I'm not really spoiling anything.
I don't think that, honestly, spoilers are needed because, like, every Christmas movie, as soon as Hot Frosty came to life, you know what's going to happen.
But sometimes they trick you, Chelsea. When there was no other love interest, then I figured it out. But sometimes these things happen so they can teach her how to love, and then she'll fall in love with a real man.
It's too bad she didn't go to the cemetery and put that scarf around her dead husband's coffin. Then she could have had a really Merry Christmas.
I know. I watched Dear Santa which is about a dyslexic kid. You would love it. It's about a dyslexic kid who writes a letter to Satan instead. So then Satan, played by Jack Black, comes and makes all his wishes come true. And then he gets his soul in the end if all the wishes do come true. But not once does this little boy ask for his dead brother to come back. It's like, you little fuck, you're fixing people's teeth and your brother's in the ground. Anyway, she doesn't wrap a scarf around the tombstone. You would love that movie. But at the end, he's starting to melt and he gets sickly. And they just leave this man in a snow heap to die. And then they walk away and they're like, it's all right, Lacey. You'll find love again. And then I don't know what happens. I guess his temperature regulates. So then he wakes back up as forever a human. All he needed to do was die in the snow to be a human. So he comes back, and then they decide to do gifts for Christmas now that they're in love. And he gives her a book of how she can fix her house herself. And I get it, like, independent woman, but to me it sounded like, I'm sick of doing this shit. And she gives him a cruise.
Yeah, not comparable gifts. Also, I found it very relatable. Like, he locked it down. He became a human. He got what he needed out of the deal. And he's like, oh, all those things I was doing, me fixing the roof, me doing handyman stuff around the house, that's not going to be happening anymore now that I know that I'm not going to perish as soon as your HVAC system gets fixed. Also, he got a job at a middle school, which I didn't love. I know that he was, again, childlike in wonder. There was not a background check. This man doesn't have fingerprints, a social security number. He was just born 3 days ago. I don't love how quickly he was able to have access to those children.
And I was thinking that about the cruise. This man doesn't have a passport.
A lot of loopholes that he's going to have to jump through.